Okay. Okay, members. Agenda item number 1 is apologies. Have we any apologies, please? Okay. Councillor Macaulay, please.
Yes, Chair. Just Alderman Ian Burns, unfortunately hasn't any internet, so he'll be unable to log in. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Before we move on to agenda item 2, can I just at this point just congratulate all our ground staff over this last few weeks with the Christmas tree switch on. I think they've been tremendous, and I think by all accounts, all the Christmas events went off well, and a special mention to especially the ground staff and BNL Productions. So thank you, members. Agenda item 2, declarations of interest, and we'll take them as the meeting progresses, members. Agenda item 3, the Director's report, and we'll go to Olga. Okay, Olga.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. The first report is in relation to the Regional Strategic Transport Network Transport Plan and the All-Ireland Strategic Rail Review. The RSTNTP is the overall strategic transport plan undertaken by DFI, and it identifies strategic road and rail projects. The department have indicated AECOM have been appointed to undertake the technical specification of the plan, and that will be going out for consultation early next year. And the input from that plan will become part of the government's agenda for priority road and rail projects. Council have previously identified in relation to other plans the importance of the A1, the M1, the M12, the A3, the A28, the Portadown as a rail hub, the rail halt in Craigavon, the Lurgan railway crossing, and Portadown to Armagh railway line provision as priority projects. In order to undertake some transport assessment work, technical assistance will be required, and we're seeking a budget of £7,000 towards this. In addition, the All-Ireland Strategic Rail Review was published on the 26th of November, and this will be important for our borough as well in terms of our routes in Portadown and Lurgan, and also as part of the Dublin-Belfast economic corridor, and a response will be prepared in relation to that consultation process as well. So the recommendation for members is that external technical transport assistance is approved towards the preparation of response to the RSTNTP, and that a response is provided to the All-Ireland Strategic Rail Review.
Thank you, Olga. Councillor Barry, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Olga, and thank you for the report here. I have been aware of this when the Minister announced it, but what concerns me is £7,000 of money from the Council is being requested here. Yes, albeit internally, but surely when a government department announces such a strategic network transport plan and rail review, surely they should have enough of a budget to cover for that. Who came up with the £7,000, and surely is it fair for us that we should be funding this, because it would have been my understanding that quite a bit of this information already in relation to the road infrastructure and rail infrastructure within the area is there for all to see. And why is it going to take £7,000 to be set aside to come up with a report when, frankly, we already should have such reports sitting there that maybe we just need to dust them off and publish them? I just would like a bit more information on it. I'm not opposed to it, but I think it's something that we should be sitting with without having to spend another £7,000 on something that a department has actually announced.
Thank you, Councillor Barry. Olga, do you want to take that?
Thank you, Councillor Barry. And the report that AECOM are producing has been commissioned by the department. What, as officers, we're recommending is that we're going to have to do our own separate report to make sure that we can justify why these are priority road and rail projects. Members have previously indicated that as part of infrastructure is very important for our borough, that we need to ensure that they're part of government plans. So it's to help us to provide our own response. We don't have any in-house transport modelling assessment, so it's to help us to prepare that. And those will be the rail and road projects that will be prioritised for the future.
Thank you, Olga. Councillor Kyle Savage, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks, Olga, for your report. And I think you've answered a lot of queries I had there that Councillor Barry had raised. But again, £7,000, if it's going to raise the profile and answer the needs within the area, because I look A1, I know there is work going on in it anyway, but it is vital we get that carriageway upgraded. And if it takes £7,000 to raise these number of vital areas here, then I'm happy to propose it. So I know the Lurgan rail crossing, I'm stuck at that every morning. So I'm doing a school run, and how bad that is. It's just a bottleneck for the whole town. It's just congestion for the town. So look, I'm happy to propose that, and a lot of the concerns I had have been answered there. So happy to propose, and thank you, Olga.
Thank you, Councillor Savage. Councillor Pope, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Olga. I think in terms of the rail infrastructure, I think that we shouldn't forget about Scarva station either. It does not have good vehicular or pedestrian access. The lighting on the access is poor, and there's no park and ride. So I'm happy enough to second the overall proposal, but I would propose that we would add the Scarva investigation into park and ride and improved access to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pope. Okay, you happy enough for that, Olga? Yep. Councillor O'Hanlon, please.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, Councillor O'Hanlon, before you, Councillor Savage and Pope, will you stick your hands down, please? Thank you, Councillor O'Hanlon.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Look, I agree with the sentiments of Councillor Barry, but we have one opportunity to get this right. And this will shape the investment in infrastructure for many years to come. And if we don't do this and others do, our borough will be the poorer for it. And I think it's important that we do it and we do it right. But also in relation to the things, the paper covers Portadown to Armagh railway line provision. You know, this needs to feed into the all island rail review. So it's not about just stopping on at Armagh, you know, and I want to see a railway link from Portadown to Armagh, but it can't come to a dead end. It needs to go on to other parts of a rail infrastructure. And, you know, I think this is an opportunity to feed into that. And I would be keen that we don't even just restrict to the scope that is of those listed projects. This is about road and rail infrastructure across our borough and how it feeds into a wider infrastructure plan. And I think that we need to ensure that we put our best arguments forward for all of them and would be content for the piece to be commissioned.
Thank you, Councillor O'Hanlon. Councillor Baxter, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair. I'm kind of conscious too, Olga, this has been talked about for a long time in council. And I know we've approved funds before for all sorts of reports and commissions and outside people to come in and look at this and consultants. Is this report number 2, number 3? You know, how many reports are we going to do? Because I'm conscious we've spent quite a bit of money on this so far. And I think we need to be realistic about what are the priorities. You know, we need to be careful we're not chasing rainbows here as well. Because, you know, we can throw money after report, but we want to see tangible stuff on the ground. And I think all members need to take a look at this and say, well, you know what actually is achievable and what is pie in the sky, because we're spending lots of money at this. And I don't know how many reports, maybe Olga, you could fill us in on what the last report identified. Is this report 2? Is this report 3?
Olga, do you want to come in there?
Okay, yes, Councillor Baxter, there have been various reports done, but this is the only one in relation to infrastructure for rail and road projects. So this will be the council's response to this plan. So this will be the first one in relation to infrastructure.
Okay, Councillor Baxter.
In terms of the last report we got, I think it was maybe specifically on railway and the railway help and the Armagh Portadown line. You know, are we rehashing then that part of it, even though it's road now as well? Or can that not just be used?
Yes, the technical study into the Portadown Railway to Armagh Railway line is currently out for procurement. That is a very specific piece of work solely in relation to the Portadown to Armagh and the connectivity in relation to that, and it's only in relation to rail. These are all the other major road and rail projects that the council have previously indicated they would like to see prioritised as part of government's plans.
Thanks, Olga. Councillor Kevin Savage, please.
Thank you, Chair, and Olga, thank you for the report. I think it's important that we do accept this recommendation. I know it's been proposed and seconded because I think the Minister said today that this is going to set the priorities until 2035 for infrastructure projects. So we need to get our asking now. I was at a Mid-South West growth deal meeting last week up in Cookstown, and I know that Mid-Ulster Council are certainly getting their priorities into it. So we need to have a good case for our road networks to be improved and included in this project going forward. So that's what I've said, but I think it's been proposed and seconded anyway, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Alderman Mitri, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just in relation to this, I just want to have a better understanding. The £7,000 is towards our working up of a response. Is that correct? Oh, yeah, it is. Okay. You know, that's okay. Happy with that. But really, we got to be focused around this, because if we're going to spread it out wider and wider, it's going to have no impact. I mean, I could talk about the 3 level crossings in Lurgan, as could the Chair, that are impacted on a daily basis, not just the one on the Loch Road, but the other ones at Lake Streets and further on out. But would it be possible to see a draft of the response before it goes through, just so that members can run their eye over it again before it's moved on? Thank you.
Olga, go ahead, Olga.
Yes, certainly we can make sure that a draft is circulated to the members of the committee for their input.
Content, Alderman? Okay, thank you, members. Okay, members, we'll have a proposer and seconder. Everyone agreed? Okay, great. Okay, the next 2 items are for information unless anyone wants to speak on them. If not, I don't see any hands up. We'll move on. So, agenda item 4, Head of Economic Development, and we'll have Nicola to take that. Go ahead, Nicola.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. Yes, 4.1, it's a TransLink to Lurgan to Portadown cable renewal, and it's a request really from TransLink. So that the decision required this evening, it's recommended that members agree to receive a presentation from TransLink on the Lurgan to Portadown cable renewal project at a future meeting of the Economic Development and Regeneration Committee.
Thank you, Nicola. We'll have Councillor Green for your hand was up to. Are you happy enough?
Sure. No, thank you, Chair. I had tried to get my hand up, but I think I hit the wrong button just for the previous information item. If we could just a quick point on it, if that's okay.
Go ahead, just quickly there.
Yeah, just in the report through there, there's a whole section about remote working hubs. I know it's something that we had spoke about in a previous meeting this year. I was just wondering, through you, Chair, is there a way of actually getting the information broke down to our council area? I know it takes in 4 council areas, but there's quite a bit of information there about remote working hubs, and we had talked about this in previous meetings. Just wondering if there's any further work going on that. Thank you, Chair.
All good.
Yes, we can certainly request further information. The civil service had identified connect hubs, and that's sort of what it's alluding to in that report. So we can find out from the department what the current position is in relation to those proposals.
Thanks, Olga. Content, Councillor Greenfield.
Yep, thank you, Chair. Just as to say, we were talking about before, and for some of our own buildings, even possibly, or different uses. So it'll just be interesting to hear. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. 4.1, we'll have Alderman Mitri there, please.
Thank you again. Go ahead. Okay, thank you, Chair. Anyway, just in relation to this, I read the papers in relation to this, and I'm at a loss as to why they want to present to the committee, given that it only affects Lurgan to Portadown. Would it not have been far better to invite the members, any interested members, to go to a breakout session with the folk? I mean, it'd be better use of our committee's time, I would have thought.
Olga.
Certainly, if that's what the members would like, we can certainly arrange a separate meeting for the Lurgan to Portadown councillors. The request has come through from TransLink asking to speak to the committee, but it's members' decision on this.
Okay, Alderman Stephen.
I mean, if this was talking about the same thing in Banbridge or Armagh, I probably wouldn't be sufficiently interested to sit through a council committee and have them present. So, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Councillor O'Hanlon, please.
Chair, I very much understand where Alderman Moutry is coming from, but if you get an agency in and they brief in a working group, it's not minuted. So any presentations they give, any commitments they give, aren't minuted. And you know, for the sake of 10 minutes at the start of a meeting, followed by 10 minutes of question and answer, it may be worth our while getting the group in. That's the only thing I would say, because we know working groups or workshops don't be minuted, so then we can't hold officials in departments or agencies to account when it comes to stuff that minuted. That would be my only issue, but I'm happy to take the lead from others.
Thank you, Councillor O'Hanlon. Bring in Councillor Baxter, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'm happy to second Alderman Moutry's proposal, and just on the back of the end of what Councillor O'Hanlon said, you know, there's no reason why they couldn't minute even that. The presentation will be in, I'm assuming, will be in presentation form anyhow, so all members will be furnished with a presentation, and the meeting can be minuted then as a working group. We're happy to second.
Thank you, Councillor Baxter. Alderman Moutry, could you just confirm what you're proposing here?
Yeah, I'm proposing that the invitation goes out to any councillor that wishes to attend, because from the papers that I've read, the decision is taken. It's more or less to inform us of what they're going to do. So there won't be a decision or anything for council at the end of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. And you're happy enough to second Councillor Baxter? Yeah. Everyone agreed, please? Councillor O'Hanlon, do you want back in here again?
Sure. Look, it's not something we're pushing to the vote, but look, as Councillor Baxter says there, get it minuted and a formal report comes into the committee, even if it's only for members to note. But if there's any commitments given, then at least it's there and it's in the minute format, and it means that we can hold the agencies to account.
Okay, point taken, Councillor O'Hanlon, thank you. Okay, members, we've proposed in second. Happy enough. Move on to 4.2, please, and Nicola again.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, 4.2 is all about health and life sciences. It's a report on the Community Renewal Fund applications and letters of offer. The decision required this evening, members are requested to note the success of the health and life sciences sector work across the borough and approve the letter of offer from the Community Renewal Fund for the delivery of a Southern Region Data Innovation Hub for the value of £260,635.
Thank you, Nicola. Councillor Baxter, please.
Thank you, Chair. Happy to propose and congratulate officers and whoever's involved in bringing this to us. The health and life sciences has always been huge, particularly in this Craigavon area, and well done to Nicola and team for that. Happy to propose, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Baxter. Councillor Macaulay, please.
Yes, thanks, Chair, and thanks, Nicola, for that. Yes, I'm more than happy to second that. Thank you. Well done.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Macaulay. Okay, members, we have a proposal in second. Everyone agreed? Agreed. Okay, 4.3, Nicola.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, and more good news in terms of funding. This one about the Labour Market Partnership funding application and employability and skills update. So the decision required, members are requested to note the update on employability and skills initiatives delivered across the borough and approve the letter of offer from the Department for Communities for £86,559.13 for the administration and set-up costs associated with the interim Labour Market Partnership for the period the 1st of April to the 31st of March 2022. And just as sort of an addendum to that and additional information, We've just heard today, after discussions with the department, that they've confirmed that an additional letter of offer will be issued for £236,200, and we anticipate it to be with us on Friday. And therefore, I'm hoping that there will be a late report to Council on Monday to accept this letter of offer too. And that will allow us to do a lot more across our borough, including helping support those sectors which really need support at the moment.
Okay, Nicola, thanks very much. Councillor Pope, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Nicola. Yeah, indeed, very good news. If I recall from a year ago, there was certainly, maybe a question mark on the funding. So I'm delighted to see that come through. And I know officers have been working very hard over a substantial period. So happy enough to propose that, and good news.
Thank you, Councillor Pope. Councillor Nicholson, please.
Yes, Chair. Happy to second. And I suppose I've only one question, Chair, for Nicola, if possible. Is there any restriction to what sectors this can work with, or is it across the board in relation to that sort of need for employment in obviously many sectors at the minute? But happy to second, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nicholson. Nicola Donner, take it.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And yes, there is no restriction that we're aware of in terms of working across the sector. It'll be a data-driven response based on specific interventions that are going to have an impact on the economy and the economy for the future as well. We've also identified specific support around business startup support for 16 to 24-year-olds, and also an HGV programme to help address the chronic shortage of HGV drivers. But there is no limit to the number and type of sectors that can be supported at this stage, and it'll be evidence-driven.
Thank you, Nicola. Okay, members, we have a proposer and seconder. Everyone content? Okay, thank you. Next three items, 4.4, 4.5 and 4.6 are items for information unless someone wants to speak. 4.4, please. We'll have Councillor McElrath, please.
Thank you, Chair. And it's just in relation to the new business startup grant scheme that's reported on. It's just to welcome the number of businesses that did apply to that scheme. I think there were 30 in total, 10 from each area that were successful. It probably left another 63 that weren't. And I see, Nicola, that we intend bringing forward another recommendation for a similar scheme. And I suppose it's just to say, given the number of businesses that weren't successful and the appetite out there for that grant, albeit it's small in terms of the overall amount needed to start a business, but it's a wee incentive and it's really welcome. And I think, Nicola, we had a discussion about a business trying to start up in the Newry area, and even something like this would have been really, really beneficial and just enough to kickstart the business and get things moving. So it's just to say, well done on that one, and as soon as possible, roll it out again, because there is an appetite and it is a real incentive there. So it's just that wee comment there, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor McElrath. Anyone else on 4.4? Okay, Councillor Barry, please.
Thank you, Chair. And I would just agree as well. And you have one business who wasn't successful, who had just started up, and it was disappointing to learn of that. So I would agree with Councillor McElrath. I think it is something that maybe we should look at, and I think it's also maybe be looking at sort of the PR side of things in relation to what we have done here, because I know based on Alderman Mutry's initial proposal, which instigated this here, which was very welcome, I think, it would be good at a PR level for us to be seen of how we have helped these businesses, but I would like to see more businesses supported, as Councillor McElrath has said. So it's maybe a rolling type of a programme that we should look at, because it is really heartening in the midst of all the negativity, in the midst of all the whole current pandemic within the country and further afield, that there are businesses that are starting up and have started up. And I think we need to do everything within our power. And I know that was the goal of Alderman Mutry, to be seen as a local government authority, to be helping those people. And £500 as one who's in business and started up business, and I know of others who have recently done that, it would mean quite a bit. It might seem a small amount, but frankly, £500 to some of the people who I know have started up would be very welcome. And I know those who have scored well and got it, and we're very appreciative, but it'll be good for this to be rolling out.
Thank you, Councillor Barry. That's anyone else in 4.4? Okay, 4.5. We'll have Councillor Greenfield, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for letting me in, Chair. Just on 4.5, our urban centres update. Firstly, just to say that the good work that is going on in our urban centre, and certainly, you know, in our own DA task force meeting, there's been a lot of good meetings had and across it. But just, if I could just, I see in the report, we're going to bring some feedback in the January committee from our events in our Light Switch On. And it's just, we had received some feedback on the night of our Light Switch On, the Saturday night in Banbridge. I visited quite a few of the shops, and there was quite a bit of feedback about I think some of them preferred the Friday night stuff. So I have received an email from the chamber and have forwarded on to Julianne, and she said she will look at it. But just, if we could just make sure that as wide as possible a scope is done with all businesses around the town, just to see if we can get the right. I know in previous years it became sort of a bit of an issue because it was Black Friday and the setting up of it. But I do get the impression from most of our chamber and most of the shops members that the Friday was more successful. I know this year with COVID restrictions, but I just want to say a big well done to the team. The town looked well, and we did have a great switch on that night. But just, if we can make sure that there's as much feedback from as many businesses as possible to come in that reporting in the January committee, that'd be great, Chair. I had put this in with yourself for any other business, so I think that'll cover it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Greenfield. And yes, that's good. Now we can take that out of AOB. Nicola, do you want to take that on?
Yeah, Chair, absolutely. You're absolutely right, Councillor Greenfield. One of the first jobs in the new year is to really get as wide a scope as possible in terms of finding out what the views are from across the whole borough, from retailers, from visitors, from everyone. And we'll take all that feedback on board, and we'll report it back to members, and we'll incorporate that into all our planning for 2022, all being well.
Thank you, Nicola. Can we have Councillor O'Hanlon, please?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And again, it's in relation to 4.5 and the urban centres report. Just a couple of wee things. Just in relation to the Georgian Day in Armagh, if that report could give us some feedback from the retailers and those in hospitality. I know with COVID the way things were, but one thing that I would say is that with the move to putting a lot of stalls around the mall, it took a lot of footfall out of the city centre, and you know, then we still had the city centre sealed off. You know, so I think it's I'd be keen to gauge the feedback. I have no problem with spreading the stalls and stuff around the mall, and it probably worked out well. However, we need to balance that with the impact then on the city centre, and maybe if that report could include that. In relation to the Christmas light shows, I know they were held over a couple of nights, but there was tickets seemed to be easier to get for the Gareth Brooks concert than it was for the light show. The amount of people and families looking for tickets, so maybe keen to see what numbers were like for each show in comparison to last year. And maybe it is something we should continue next year about doing the light shows over the 2 nights. So I'd be keen for that to be included. And finally, just a wee note in relation to the drive-in movies. We had them in Katie on Saturday night. The 4:30 show was a bit of a, well, there's a few technical issues in that the film kept jumping, and well, it had to be pulled and families left. That was on no fault of the officers, but I want to commend the 2 officers who were there on the night and the way they handled it in terms of Laura and Julianne. They went round, they talked to families individually, they explained it. And I know Julianne has been on to me today and they're trying to make arrangements for some way of contacting families again about it. But I know the second show went off very well. The only thing I'd say is we probably need more spaces if it's something we want to continue doing in next year. But look, just to note that things didn't go well, but the two girls who were on site, in fact, Julianne actually came in whenever things started to go a bit pear-shaped. She came in from home to try and sort things out. So look, I want to acknowledge the two girls publicly because they did do their best on the night. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Hanlon. I'm sure those points have been noted. But Brian, do you want to comment there?
A report back next month in terms of the evaluation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Alderman Mutri, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just in relation to 4.5, can I just say Lurgan has started from a low base, having no Chamber of Trade for this last number of years, or Chamber of Commerce, but thanks largely to the help of Helen Donnelly, things have changed around. There's now an embryo group there which are working very well. There's a lot of enthusiasm, and most of all, there's a lot of positivity around the town. So I would like to pay tribute to Helen, Nicola Wilson, in relation to what they've done and the department generally. Very positive. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Mutri. Okay, members, everyone agreed. Move on to agenda item 5 on Head of Tourism, Arts and Culture, and with Brian Johnson again.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. So 5.1 relates to activity at FE McWilliam Gallery, and the recommendation before members is to the members approve the letter of offer from the Northern Ireland Museum Council for the Playful Museum Grant. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Councillor Macaulay, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
That's okay. No, happy enough to propose that. It's a great programme and small but important. So happy enough to propose that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Macaulay. Councillor Kevin Savage, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to second Councillor Macaulay's proposal, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Savage. Okay, members. Proposer and seconder. Everyone content? Thank you. 5.2, Brian.
The period dwelling at the Navan Centre in Fort. The dwelling was built in 2005 with a projected lifespan of 12 years. It has now come to the end of its active life. In terms of health and safety advice, we've been recommended to close the dwelling as of now, so it isn't available. You'll note in the report the loss of income that's projected if we aren't able to replace the dwelling. The estimated replacement costs are somewhere between £80,000 and £100,000, and there are professional fees on top. We are exploring potential funding pots, particularly Tourism Northern Ireland and DAERA, to offset some of those costs. So the recommendation before members is it's recommended that approval is given for the immediate progression of demolition and replacement of the Iron Age dwelling, the Navan Centre, in conjunction with the Estates and Asset Management Team, due to health and safety guidance, and the project has progressed as part of our visitor attraction offer at Navan. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Councillor O'Hanlon, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Look, I think this has been flagged up with us for a while in relation to that building, you know, I think it's something that does need to happen, and it needs to happen as quickly as possible in terms of its replacement. We've skirted around the issue of Navan, and I think this is the opportunity to, if we're going to build back, let's replace it with better. Or if you take a look at, there was a discussion previously around the field at the back of the centre, instead of building just one dwelling, that there was going to be a village. So maybe we should take the opportunity to look at either relocating that to that field, which is within the site, and then progress plans to build a village. Look, it shows you there the revenue that actually takes in. So there's a cost of 80 to 100,000, but in 1 year, a loss of 67,000 in relation to the funding, so or to revenue. So look, I think there should be an opportunity to push on the product and improve the product that we have at Navan. And I know others have visited the site in the past and have questioned the viability or the product on offering, and this is an opportunity to do that and to do it right. And I propose the adoption of the report, but I would also like some further detail as to how we can then move ahead with the facilities there. And I would be keen to see that house becomes a village and that we move that on as quickly as possible.
Thank you, Councillor O'Hanlon. Councillor Haughey, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm just coming in to second that. I'm happy to second Councillor O'Hanlon's proposal there for further information on that. I don't think the importance of Navan Centre can be understated in the historical aspect and the importance that it has in the city and the surrounding areas. So I really think it's so important that we make this investment now and look forward to future investment as well. So happy to second that proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Haughey. Councillor Nicholson, please.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. And as like other speakers, I do think there's massive opportunities at Navan, which we haven't really got a grasp of yet. I know there's a project going on in relation to, you know, the World Heritage Site and things like that. But again, I think there needs to be something strategic with Navan. I don't think it's just a matter of building a village. I think you have to have an overall master plan for the place, and then that could be part of an overall funding application for whatever, be it, you know, overnight stays, additional accommodation, etc. There's a massive opportunity there, like others have said. So I would welcome a further paper coming forward in relation to Navan and how we do take it to the next level, so to speak, Chairman. So happy to support that. And as I say, there's a paper coming forward. I'd like that to be a more overall strategic look at Navan of what's the best way to develop it going forward. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Nicholson. Alderman Mitry, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm tempted to say that Councillor O'Hanlon could sell snow to Eskimos, but given the season that we're in, I'll not say that. I'll keep it very dignified. No issue, especially when I hear that the running costs have been reduced of late in Navan Court with it in principle, but I am just seek some clarity around the fact that statutory fees and professional and statutory fees at 50% of the project costs. That seems to be an awful lot. Is there any clarity you can give me around that, Brian, or if not now, maybe later?
Okay, Brian, do you want to comment?
Thank you, members, for the feedback. Yes, we will look. We are looking at the estimates, costs that have come through, and again, particularly on the professional fees. So we will keep that under review. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, members, we have a proposal and seconder. Everyone content? Thank you. Councillor Greenfield, you looking back in again? Okay, thank you. Okay, members, Brian, 5.3.
This report relates to the World Rally Championship event, which is due to take place next August. So the World Rally Championship is the highest level of global competition in this motorsport discipline, and it is a truly global event. There has been a bid made to stage the UK leg of the World Rally Championship in Northern Ireland next year. It will be realistically the biggest event in Northern Ireland next year. The majority of the cost of hosting the World Rally Championship is to be funded through the NI Executive and through government, and it is a significant cost. So what we bring before members tonight is a fraction of that cost. So there's been there's been meetings for a number of years with the organisers with the aspiration of having this event in Northern Ireland, and it is proposed the rally will be brought to the centre of Banbridge on one of the days during the event. And this will obviously give an opportunity to showcase Banbridge and generate significant footfall and spend. So each local authority along the route, with the exception of Belfast, where the start of the rally has been asked to contribute more. Each local authority has been asked to contribute £65,000 plus VAT to host the event, but also to deliver a family fun activity event as well. And there'll also be a requirement for toilets and barriers. So the request before members tonight is in principle. There's still a number of things to be ironed out, but it has been made clear that this conversation needed to happen before the executive would finally make the decision as well. And it's also important to note that this hasn't been allocated in the budgets for 2022-23. So we will need to look at the budgets again and probably reflect on that and find the funding if members are so wish. So the recommendation for members is to agree in principle to part finance the World Rally Championship event, subject to the commitment of funding from other agencies. And thank you.
Thank you, Brian. We have Councillor Greenfield, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Brian, for the report. And certainly, Brian, I think Alderman Mitchell said about Councillor O'Hanlon selling some else, which I think we've maybe undersold this slightly, Brian. If I was looking there, it says over 4.1 million fans attended at over a certain time scale with an average of 375,000 at each of their different weekend events. So I certainly think it would be a great thing to have. We have quite a few different rallies of smaller scale coming through Banbridge, and certainly a lot of the stages are around that area. So I would certainly like to propose this tonight and hope that this will be able to go ahead as an event, and would welcome it to Banbridge. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Councillor Greenfield. Councillor Macaulay, please.
Yes, thanks, Chair. And just as Councillor Greenfield has said, I think it's a great event and certainly puts Banbridge on the world stage, and not only Banbridge, probably the Borough as well. So I'd be happy enough in principle and more than happy to second that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Macaulay. Councillor Nicholson, please.
Yes, Chair, like others before, happy to support this. I think the Borough as a whole has got a lot of characters involved in the rally world, and to bring the World Rally Championship here to Banbridge, it definitely, and as I even said, it is a sport that attracts a lot of spectators and a lot of activity. So absolutely, I think this is a very positive thing for the Borough. So happy to support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nicholson. Councillor McElrath, please.
Thanks, Chair. And yes, just to echo the other comments, absolutely fantastic to see this coming. I know, having worked with some of the organisers in years past to try and get a round of the World Championship to Northern Ireland has been a long-term goal, and if this comes off, absolutely brilliant. And as Councillor Greenfield said, I think maybe you're underselling this one a wee bit, Brian. If we can pull this off, be absolutely fantastic. And if you can get Max Verstappen here to put down I was going to say the checkered flag, but to get him here for the launch of it would be something else as well. But listen, no, absolutely brilliant to see this on the agenda, and along with other councillors, give it my wholehearted backing. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor McElrath, and I'm sure Brian and his team will work as hard as they can to make this work. Councillor Haughey, I see your hand still up. Are you looking to speak in this, or was that from previous?
Apologies, I haven't taken it down, Chair. That's my fault.
Okay, thank you. Okay, members, we have a proposer and seconder for 5.3. Everyone agreed? Okay, members, the next item is an item for information. Unless anyone wants to speak on it, we'll move on. Okay, members, no hands. So, okay, I'll read this out here. Could we have a proposer and seconder to go into committee for consideration of the confidential items of business?
So proposed, Chair.
Thank you. And the seconder, please. Councillor Greenfield, thank you. Members and online viewers, in accordance with the Schedule 6 of the Local Government Act, we will now be moving into a confidential session of the Council. This means that we will be turning off the public feed of the meeting. This will be returned when the meeting is restarted. Can I ask IT to please turn off the feed and confirm with me that the confidential section of this meeting can proceed? Thank you, Colin. Okay, members, agenda item 7 on correspondence and Olga here. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And we've received correspondence from the Craigavon Council of Trade Unions, re social value. And members will be aware that there is ongoing work in the Council at the moment around our inclusive growth agenda and also in relation to community planning as well. So in terms of the request, we'll arrange the meeting with you as the chair of the committee initially, and then the follow-up action to bring it into committee.
Thank you, Olga. Yes, and we have arranged a meeting for tomorrow morning with Dooley. Councillor Mackle, please.
Yes, Chair, I was just going to propose it on after your meeting, Chair, that Dooley come along and do a presentation and have a discussion with the wider Economic Development Committee at our next meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Mackle. Yes, happy enough with that. Could I have a seconder, please?
They're happy to.
Okay, Councillor Kevin Savage. Thank you. Okay, members, agreed. Okay, members, one last item of an AOB, and I've only one item of AOB, and it's Councillor Baxter, please.
Thank you, Chair, and I'll be very brief. It's just in terms of the the issue we have with local business at the minute, Chair, and the COVID passport scheme. Been contacted by quite a few businesses in the hospitality sector, and not only me but colleagues right across the borough. And obviously, with the news of the vaccine passport and the issues that that's going to cause in their businesses, they're losing bookings, just to put it brutally frank, hand over fist. So they're going to struggle very, very financially. This is usually bonanza time for hospitality, coming up to the Christmas period in December. That's going to be severely impacted by what's come out from Stormont. So I just wanted to ask the committee and make a proposal, Chair, that we write to the executive asking what financial package is going to be in place or what support and help is going to be given to local businesses who have suffered and who will suffer as a result of what's happened. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Baxter. Alderman Mitri, please.
No. Chair, I just want to second Councillor Baxter's proposals. I fear to think where hospitality is going to be in the new year, if one way or another we don't get something done. Nobody wants to put people at risk, but already there are signs that hospitality is drying up with Christmas parties, etc. Christmas lunch has been cancelled, and I really fear for this sector come January, February. So I'm happy to second the proposal.
Thank you, Alderman Mitri. Councillor Barry, please.
Thank you, Chair, and I'm happy to support that proposal from Councillor Baxter. Obviously, we want to keep people as safe as possible. We totally understand the very difficult position that the Health Minister and others are in relation to this, and especially within the Southern Trust. A number of us had been in France a few weeks ago, and we had to use the COVID passports on our phones to get into restaurants and places like that. And whilst they weren't that inconvenient, obviously we were visitors to that country and we had to abide by that, and I appreciate that. But on a more difficult note, about 14 of us were out 2 weeks ago in a local restaurant with friends socialising, and I was speaking to the owner of the restaurant, and frankly he said that he was on the verge of a stroke, because even then when there was a hint and a talk of COVID passports, the cancellations were coming in their dozens up to Christmas. And on that human side of things, whilst we have to keep people safe, that's vitally important, but this is having a real bad impact on especially the eateries and the businesses out there who have suffered so much, even with the financial support that was given. And I think it's vital that we do write to the government to see if some financial package is there for those business owners, because frankly their health is now being impacted in a different way. And whilst I do appreciate measures have to be put in place to keep people safe, but this is impacting on other people in a different way on their own health, mentally and physically. And I think something clearly needs to be done. And I would like to ask a question to our officers tonight, and sorry for putting them on the spot. Do they feel that there's anything even at our economic department side of things that we could do in a practical way to help such businesses? Because the bottom line is there are cancellations out there, and it's just knowing if there's some innovative thing that we could do to help businesses in any shape or form, small that may be. But the reality is there's a lot of people out there tonight who are suffering as a result of decisions being made, which people have their own views on. But it's a difficult one. But clearly those business owners, it's impacting on their health in a completely different way. And we need to be helping them in whatever way possible.
Thank you, Councillor Barry. Yes, some points well made. Maybe Olga, do you want to be back in it?
Yes, Councillor Barry, we will liaise back with the trade network groups that exist. There's Northern Ireland Tourism Alliance and Hospitality Ulster, etc. as well. And then we can bring back further information in relation to that.
Thank you, Olga. Okay, members, that concludes the meeting tonight. And before I finish, I want to thank Colin for the teething problems at the start and middle, and Colin getting that sorted out. And again, members, I want to wish you all a very happy Christmas, safe have a safe and peaceful Christmas, and thank you for your patience tonight at the start of the meeting. So thank you.
Thank you.